Welcome to Tiny Acres Homestead. So today we are going to make some freezer meals. I've got a big thing of ground beef and we're gonna use part of it and put part of it in the freezer. We've got lasagna, chicken Alfredo. So we're gonna do lasagna, chicken Alfredo with broccoli. Dean. We're gonna do some pork chops with gravy and onions, some Salisbury steaks with gravy and onions, meatloaf, and chicken teriyaki. So right now I'm thawing out some sausage to go with the ground beef for our lasagna. And I have a pot of water on to boil for the noodles. Dean and I just got done making some fresh noodles for the lasagna and the Alfredo. We got some mozzarella cheese shredded, and yeah, we're just waiting for the water to start boiling. I can't talk today. So I've got 4 onions here, one of which I'm gonna cut, maybe 2 of them. Let me see. I need small dices for the meatloaf and Salisbury steak. And I need bigger pieces for the pork chops and the gravy for the Salisbury steak. I like to put some big pieces of onions in that as well. So Salisbury steak and meatloaf, small dices. Yeah, I don't need... My sauce already has onions in it for lasagna, so I'm not worried about putting onions in it. I do add a little extra garlic. But... Alright, we got this bowl full of chopped onions. And then these, I kind of sliced it about this thick. And then cut those slices in half. So these are going to be in the gravy for our pork chops and our Salisbury steak. And these are going to be inside the Salisbury steak and the meatloaf. Alright, the water is boiling, so I'm just going to throw in our noodles here. We're not going to let them cook for very long.
Yep.
Because they are fresh. Like just made them in about 20 minutes ago.
Yep.
So we're just going to boil them for a couple of minutes.
Yep.
Dean is also taking a video with his new camera he got for Christmas. And I'm not going to waste this water after these noodles come out. I'm going to throw the Alfredo noodles in.
It's popping hot. I want to be hot in the oven. It popped and it goes right on me.
I'm sorry, Dean. I don't know if I can fit all these in this pan.
All of you.
Yeah. These are our lasagna noodles.
Lasagna noodles?
We are making 2 of each thing we're doing today. Except for Salisbury steak, I'm going to try to make it into 3 because that's what I want for supper. So, we'll try to have enough of that for 3.
Yeah. It popped. It touched my pinky. Yep. Let's go.
Got all those out. Now I'm gonna put in the Alfredo noodles.
Look like cooked oatmeal. Everything.
Alright, these are
This.
fresh egg noodles that we made for our chicken Alfredo. And we're just gonna let those go for a minute since they're so much smaller. They're the same thickness as lasagna noodles, but these also are not completely done. I don't want them done because this is going to be cooked again after it gets thawed out. So now we need to get our meat ready. Alright, we've got 1 pound of ground beef, 1 pound of pork sausage, and that is going to be our meat base for our lasagna. Get these noodles out. Big scoop of garlic in here. Cook these down. Get them browned up. Got all of our noodles waiting for us in some cold water to keep them from cooking more. While we wait for this, we're going to work on some of the other ones. That way we're being more productive and not you know, wasting time. We don't want to stand around doing nothing when we can be doing something, because this is a lot of food to get prepared all at once. So we're gonna next move on to the chicken teriyaki. Okay, we're gonna cut these chicken thighs up into bite-sized pieces.
Yep. Yep, and cook these ones. Hope it doesn't pop on me.
The knife cooperates with me today. Then we're gonna put them in a gallon-sized Ziploc bags and just marinate them in the teriyaki sauce. This is the kind of sauce that we enjoy. It's Panda Express. I don't know, it probably has 6 million gallons of sugar in it, but that's how we like it. So, use whatever teriyaki sauce you prefer. Make your own, whatever you want to do. Some of the easiest freezer meals to make are those that are just marinated meat. You just dump them in a pan, and they're already flavored and ready to go.
Your face is big. Wait. What? Oh yeah, I'm gonna take a video up here.
And we just need to drain some of this grease off. It's really fatty. So we'll drain some of that off and get the sauce in it. Now that we have all of this chicken cut up and put in the bags, these are 1 gallon Ziploc bags. I am going to put, there are 6 boneless, skinless chicken thighs in each one, and I'm going to put half of this bottle in each one, and that is literally it for this. Then again, if I can get it open, we'll see. Now I'm just going to rinse a little water around. That way it's a little bit thinner of a marinade, and we used all of the sauce. Now since we've folded these tops over, they're not dirty. And since this is just raw meat and a marinade, we can flatten it out and it'll take up less space in the freezer. Plus you want to flatten it out anyway so you can make sure everybody gets covered in the sauce. There we go. 2 ready for the freezer. Forgot to mention that by keeping these flat, they thaw out so much faster. But I'm going to put these on this cookie sheet and stick it in the freezer. And I'm just going to leave them stacked on top of each other because it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to get those in the freezer. So we're just going to dump our sauce in there. This is a 45-ounce can of sauce. I'm going to put a little water in it just to swish it. It's watery, but I'm going to cook this down just a smidge anyway so that all of the flavors meld together. Plus this is a lot of sauce. And I do have another jar of sauce if I need it. Dane, please stop. And you can use your homemade sauce or you can use store-bought sauce. I just threw some store-bought sauce in here because I don't have any homemade sauce at this point in time. But that's fine. It is totally fine to eat store-bought stuff, you guys. Alright, I've got a couple of chicken breasts here. I did take these out of the freezer. They are going to be cooked, so it's not like I'm taking them out and thawing them and then freezing them again. We're going to cut these up into little bite-sized chunks. I'd much rather cut up frozen chicken. So much easier to cut. Pretty sure they were mine. My chickens were huge this year. And I'm just going to cut these up into bite-sized pieces like I did with thighs. And whenever we throw these in the skillet, we are not going to cook them all the way through. That way they don't get overcooked too bad whenever we throw it in the oven to reheat it and they just finish cooking in there. I'm only putting 2 chicken breasts. They're huge. If you have smaller ones, you may want to use more. Plus I'm going to put some broccoli and stuff in there. And the pans that we're using are not extremely huge. Yep, this was definitely mine. I forgot to get that bone out. Oopsies. Alright, chunked them up. Coated them in some seasoned salt and some garlic powder. That is all I put on these for chicken Alfredo. Just get them browned up a little bit and start putting everything together. As you can see, these are not done. They've just been browned a little bit. Now we're going to start assembling these. We're going to put a little bit of broccoli in each one. These are just frozen broccoli florets. A little bit of noodles in each one. Try to even them out. These are the noodles that we fixed earlier, and they've just been sitting here in some cold water, hanging out. Not cooked all the way. Now I'm just going to use some jarred Alfredo sauce.
I'm trying to make it.
This is a 22-ounce jar. I've got another if I need it.
That's a lot of pans to do with that.
Put about half in each one here.
That's a lot. Let's see. I can see that with that pencil stripe in there. Is this stripe fluid?
Now instead of putting water in this, I'm gonna get some milk and rinse this one with milk. I'm gonna put a little bit more milk in these. Now we're going to take some of this this Parmesan powder. Here's what it looks like. And we're going to top it with some shredded mozzarella. Put a little bit of garlic powder on each of these on top. Cover it in aluminum foil. Nice and tight. There we go. Next up, let's assemble lasagna. An assembly line. A little bit of sauce on the bottom. Noodles from sticking. And then our noodles. These are not cooked all the way. And I cut them to pan size. Now some cottage cheese. We are not fans of ricotta, so I'm just going to put a little dollops cottage cheese on here. Alright, and then some grated Parmesan over that. Some garlic powder. Alright, I did end up opening another jar of sauce. Did not have enough. And we're just going to top with the rest of this mozzarella cheese. And some more Parmesan. And there we have it. 2 lasagnas ready for the freezer. Another quick and easy freezer meal idea. These are ham steaks, not cooked. This is beef bouillon. Put on here because this is going to help make the gravy. And then some of these. These I added a tablespoon of cornstarch and 2 cups of water. And that's gonna make your gravy with your bouillon seasoning and your pork chop drippings and the onions. So we're just gonna wrap these up and stick those in the freezer. We're gonna do meatloaf and Salisbury steaks. We're gonna do 4 little meatloafs in these little pans here. So I'm gonna take 2 pounds of this meat. Duck egg. There's a chicken egg. So that total is probably about 3 eggs. I like oatmeal in mine, so I'm going to put about a cup of oatmeal in here. We'll add more if we need it. And I'm going to use about half of these onions that we chopped up. About a teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of onion powder. And I'm going to put probably about half a cup of ketchup in here. And just mix it all up with my hands. It's the easiest way to mix up meatloaf is with your hands. It's gross and it's cold, but beats using a spoon. A lot of people like to put bell peppers in their meatloaf. I don't care for that flavor in my meatloaf, so I don't put those in here. We're just going to evenly disperse this amongst these pans, and then we'll worry about making the loaves shapes. Here they are, and we're not going to put any ketchup on top of them. I would rather wait until after they've baked. But we're just going to pop them in the freezer and get started on the Salisbury steaks. Alright, we're going to put the Salisbury steaks in these, and we're going to make a little extra so that we can eat those for supper tonight. So I'm going to cut off another 2 pounds of this meat. We're just going to put it in the same bowl because they use mostly the same ingredients. I don't put ketchup in it, but the ketchup's not going to hurt anything. Eggs. The rest of these onions. And for Salisbury steaks, I prefer breadcrumbs. So these are just plain breadcrumbs. I'm going to put probably about half a cup in here. Teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of onion powder. And about a couple of teaspoons of beef bouillon powder. And we're just going to mix all this up by hand like we did with the meatloaf. And it will be a smidge drier because there's no ketchup in here. Alright, we're just going to make some patties out of these like we would a hamburger patty. They don't need to be huge and thick. I don't like that. And we're going to throw these in the skillet and brown both sides. We're not going to cook them all the way through, but we're going to brown. That way they hold their shape in the gravy. Made 12 patties out of 2 pounds of meat. So we're going to go ahead and fry these up. This is the sliced onion. I'm just going to put a little bit in each pan. Save some for the supper ones tonight. Probably go ahead and dump those in there. For the gravy, a couple of tablespoons of cornstarch down. In each pan. Now we're going to put in some beef bouillon in here, quite a bit, make it super tasty. And then we're going to add some water and mix it up. It's going to be about 2 cups of water in each pan. You want enough gravy in here to cover the top of the meat. And whenever this cooks in the oven, it will thicken the gravy and finish cooking the meat and soften up the onions. Don't, however, want giant clumps of cornstarch on my meat. So when you put the cornstarch in, try to avoid your patties. Alright, let's get these covered and get them in the freezer.
Where are we going, Ma? Where are we going?
We're not going anywhere. Alright, we're just going to write what these are on top. And there we have it. We've got 4 meatloaves, 2 Salisbury steaks, we've got 2 chicken teriyakis, we've got 2 lasagnas, 2 chicken Alfredos, and 2 pork chops and onions and gravy. And that is several meals for us that we've put in the freezer. And we also have supper already made for tonight, so we're good to go. So thanks for watching.